may I know who's on the line this one? Yeah, I can rename you. Yeah.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening. How are you?
I'm
Iman,
fine.
sir.
Bhai, good evening. Yogesh bhai, good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Nice to reconnect.
गुड इवनिंग हेमल भाई.
कैसे हो? Let's.
सर आपकी आवाज़ थोड़ी स्लो आ रही है हिमल भाई.
What? Is it now clear?
हाँ, बेटर.
हाँ.
यस हेमल भाई कैसे हैं आप? लॉन्ग टाइम वी हैव नॉट मेट.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. We'll wait for 2 minutes and then start the program. I think Chetan Vyas sir is having some issue with joining the program. We'll just wait for 2 minutes.
No
Yeah.
problem. No problem. Yeah. Thank you.
59. So that other participants, generally when it's 6 o'clock, people join by 6:05. ग्लव्स पहरी रहता है यार आवाज नहीं आता देखो वॉइस में क्लैरिटी नहीं होती ऊपर तो वॉइस तो એમાંથી જ થશે પહેલા તો બહુ સરસ આવતું હતું વોઇસ વોઇસ જોઈ લે ને વોઇસ કેવી રીતે વધારે
So participants are joining, so we can wait for 1 minute and then start. Yeah.
Yes, we can start.
બંધ કર દેવાનું બાજુ
Himal sir, we
Yeah.
can start now.
Okay. You want me to start or Mr. Chetan is going to start or I have to start?
Yeah, I think you can start introduction and then sir. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome on behalf of Ahmedabad Management Association as well as NSE EMERGE platform. Today we have a very interesting webinar on MSME Financial Roadblocks addressed through multiple stock exchange platform. We have two very eminent speakers who understand multiple stock exchange platform, that is the NSE EMERGE for listing for the MSMEs. Mr. CA Ashish Goel, who is Vice President of National Stock Exchange of India, and CA Yogesh Jain, Senior Vice President, Pentamoth Advisory Services Group. Before we request them to make their presentation, I would now welcome Mr. CA Chetan Vyas from the National Stock Exchange to give his few introductory remarks. Chetan Vyas, please. You can unmute yourself, Chetan.
Mr. Chetan. Mr. Chetan, can you hear us?
He has muted himself, so you'll have, unless you unmute, we will also not know. So anyway, in between, we'll give him the opportunity of addressing the webinar. Uh, Ashish, you would like to go first, or Yogesh?
So, Himal sir, I think Ashish ji would start and he will start introducing multiple platforms of the stock exchange, and then maybe I can cover the remaining part for the session. So, Ashish sir.
Welcome, Ashish bhai.
Yes,
Very
yes.
good speaker. He is
Okay.
being Vice President of National
I'm
Stock
sharing my
Exchange.
presentation first.
Yeah, Ashish, before that, let me formally introduce you very briefly. You don't require much of introduction in any case. He is in charge of business development
Uh,
at NSE EMERGE of India at Ahmedabad. I've had series
yes.
of interactions over the years with him, and he brings very good ideas. And today, this is an excellent platform for us to understand MSME financial roadblocks and how they are addressed through the multiple stock exchange platforms. Ashish ji is a
Yeah.
chartered accountant from 1992 batch and has been with National Stock Exchange in various capacities and in various aspects of National Stock Exchange operations for the last so many years.
Himal sir, your voice is not audible actually, sir.
Is it
Yes, yes.
Your
now?
voice is too low actually, sir.
Very, very low voice. You can use the headphones if possible, Himal bhai.
Because I always use this tablet and every time the voice quality is fine.
Okay.
Okay, over to Ashish bhai.
Yeah. Just a second. Okay. Very good evening to all the participants. I thank Ahmedabad Management Association, AMA, for making NSE a part of this program. I acknowledge presence of Himal Bhai, who has been a very close associate with NSE for quite some time. I acknowledge the presence of Mr. Yogesh Jain from Pentomath. As we all know, MSMEs are facing a lot of challenges in these pandemic times. Most of the MSMEs whom I meet talk about business survival, and this is very pathetic, very disturbing when you meet an MSME entrepreneur and he talks about business survival. There are demand level constraints, there are supply level constraints, there are manpower issue. The business cycle issue is also at the quite forefront. But there is a major challenge when you sum up the entire MSME difficulties and these pandemic times. The matter boils down to the funds availability and working capital augmentation. So when it comes to finance, the traditional ways of looking at it is putting in your own money, borrowing from friends and relatives, or approaching banker for additional limits. Okay, these are the traditional avenues for raising finance in these difficult times. Again, many of the MSME companies talk about working capital cycle where their book debts are stuck up and they are stuck up in terms of inventory. So we at National Stock Exchange work with MSMEs for almost, say, since our inception. We have been working on multiple models with MSME companies. The more prominent ones we started in 2012 with MSME listing. So I'm very sure many of you know about MSME listing. This is something unique which happened in 2012. Government is looking for MSME companies to play a bigger role in the entire ecosystem of business development. Investors are looking at opportunities in terms of MSME company where they want to be a part, they want to have good quality MSME companies planning to go for listing, and thereby they get an opportunity to invest in good quality MSME companies. Even the peer group are looking at good quality companies approaching market and having funds availability, so that the entire scale of operations of these MSME companies or this particular sector can be scaled to a greater heights. So we have this model live and up and running. We have more than 210 companies on board. We have raised around 3,200 crores for these MSME companies. I will be taking you through a few details on what benefits MSME companies derive subsequent to listing. So I need just half an hour from you. I will take you through 6 models where NSE can be a partner with MSME companies in their journey for fundraising and in their journey for financial resources. The second model that I'm going to talk about in detail is on our exile model. This is something new. Many of the MSME promoters present today must be listening is for the first time. We have an online exchange platform where your book debts, your bills can be discounted. So if suppose you supply, for example, an MSME company supplies to say GNFC, and invoice them to the tune of 1 crore. And the specific term of GNFC is they will pay after 60 days. So we have a model. The traditional method is to approach a bank to get the bills discounted. We have a unique online model which promises a very transparent mechanism, which promises a very competitive interest rate in terms of your bills discounting, thereby facilitating the MSME companies in terms of their working capital cycle. Two models I will be taking in detail. Rest of the 4 models I'm giving you the brief right now. We have a dedicated office in Gujarat. We have a dedicated team on each and every model that I'm discussing with you. So please make sure you connect with us. Our details will be shared on the chat message, or with you can take it from the AMA Management Association team. The third model, which I propose here, is many of the MSME companies are approaching us that they are not able to deploy their financial resources in their business, and they want to deploy their short-term funds in multiple avenues. So we have the equity model, we have the debt, we have the mutual fund, we have the exchange traded funds, we have the liquid fund, the Government of India securities, the treasury bills, the state development loan, which can facilitate you in terms of your deployment of your additional funds for short term or even longer term. The fourth model that I'm going to talk about is currency hedging. You can see on the screen, I think it's updated now. Many of the exporters and importers in the MSME segments have a big challenge in terms of their forex hedging. As we all know, the dollar is the USD INR contract is very volatile. If you are an exporter and you are pricing your goods on a particular presumption that right now the rates are 75, and at the time of my receipt of money, I will get 75 rupees. This thing can be capped. The entire volatility of forex market can be capped through our currency hedging product. We are doing it since 2008. We have more than 50,000 companies on board. The traditional way of hedging your currency exposure is through going to the bank. And when we go to the bank, we find that bank offers differential rates of hedging to MSME companies and bigger companies. The rate which probably Adani will get will not be available to MSME companies. We have a very transparent online model. This rates you can see even on your mobile, and you can seamlessly hedge your foreign exchange exposure on our currency derivative platform. So if suppose you have an you export at 75 rupees, and unfortunately when you receive your money at the end of 30th day or the 50th day, 72 rupees is the rate of the dollar, and your remittance are received at 72. If you have priced your good, keeping in mind that you will receive your the remittance at 75, you will be at a loss of 3 rupees, which is almost say 5% of your total invoice value. This loss can be made up through hedging on currency derivative platform. We have the futures and option contracts. These contracts have been there. There are n number of MSME companies who are using this platform. This 3 rupees loss in terms of your remittance can be made up through our currency futures and currency option contract. We have a dedicated team. We have experts with us who can design a strategy for you. These all strategies are so simple to understand. A little bit of initial support in the first two leg, and then probably you can have your entire currency futures at the best rates available in the market in a very high transparent environment. And we will facilitate all importers and exporters. Especially I am made to understand that most of the industries, most of the participants are from MSME in Gujarat. So we have a dedicated team in Gujarat, dedicated office in Gujarat. We can help you, support you. I can assure you, if you are an MSME company, definitely if you come on exchange platform to hedge your foreign exchange exposure, you will save a lot of money on this platform. The fifth platform that I need to discuss here in a brief is interest rate derivative platform. So many of the MSME companies, because of odd rating, are stuck up with higher rate of interest as far as their term loan and working capital loan is concerned. As we all know, India is mushrooming or coming out from being a developing economy to a developed economy. This transition will bring in lower interest rates. And if suppose you are not able to make take the benefit of lower interest rate offered by the bank, we have this interest rate futures platform, which will facilitate you to equate your loss in terms of higher interest rate through this platform. Of course, this platform has a lot of technical things. If you are stuck up with higher rate of interest and if you foresee a fall in the interest rate, please do connect with us. We can facilitate you. The sixth model that I'm going to talk about in brief is the electronic bidding platform. As you all know, the traditional way of raising debt is from bank. Stock markets usually talk about equity. But here also our government has been, the central government, the finance ministry have been very specific that now the time has come where stock markets can raise debt for MSME companies, for bigger companies. So we have this dedicated electronic bidding platform where we have more than 400 qualified institutional buyer, non-QIB arrangers, a lot of people who want to invest their money in debts with MSME companies and bigger companies. This is an entire internet-based trading platforms. You can come on this platform and raise debt for you in the form of bonds, in the form of deposit. So this platform is getting a lot of traction these days. Please do understand this platform. We can raise even debt for you, which will be different, which will be at more competitive rate as compared to the traditional means of borrowing debt. So we have discussed 6 platforms. The first one was SME platform, where you can raise money through MSME listing. The second was the bill discounting platform, what we call as RXIL. This is an online bill discounting platform. The third one was deploying your short-term funds or long-term funds in investment avenues available on stock exchange. The fourth one was currency hedging platform, where importers and exporters can hedge their foreign exchange obligations. The fifth one was interest rate derivatives platform, where if you are stuck with high rate of interest, we can be the one who can support you, who can facilitate you in terms of making good the loss that you have made on account of higher interest rates. Then the final one was the electronic bidding platform, where we can raise debt for you in the form of bonds, in the form of deposits. So these are the 6 platforms which are available at NSE, where we can facilitate you in these pandemic times to address your funds issue and your working capital issue in a big way. I have promised that I will discuss the 2 platforms in bit detail. So I'm coming to the platform that I'm going to talk about. This is called NSE EMERGE platform. This platform was not in existence till 2012. The companies who wanted to raise 100 crores, 500 crores and 1000 crores were eligible for listing. The government of India mandated that opportunity should be given to MSME companies to come on exchange platform and take equity contribution, not only from public, but also from institutions like domestic institutional investors, mutual fund, foreign institutional investors, HNI. One thing you should remember is that there is a lot of money available in the system looking for good quality companies, even MSME companies who can come on the public platform, on the exchange platform and raise money in terms of their equity. The norms of companies who can come up on this platform have been kept on a very initial stage. If you are a company with 3 years, you are a company where you have a background of 3 years. Essentially, if you're 3 years old and if you have a profit in your balance sheet in any of the 2 years out of last three preceding years, you can be one of the company, or say it's the 70th or the 68th company from Gujarat to access this platform where you can be listed. I can assure you there are more than 68 companies from Gujarat who have listed on National Stock Exchange platform. And this platform has worked very significantly for all of them. Talking about many of the time when I meet the MSME entrepreneurs, they talk about the benefits. कि आशीष भाई इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे लिस्टिंग करा के हमें बेनिफिट क्या होगा. So the first benefit that I'm going to talk about is raising of funds. We talked about traditional resources like raising equity from friends, relatives, own money, borrowing from banks. But the next level of growth can come, or usually comes, when you go for bigger fundraising in terms of equities, when you raise equity from the public, where you raise equity from mutual funds, domestic institutional investors, foreign institutional investors. There is a lot of money in the system waiting, and this channel of raising of funds can open subsequent to listing on the stock exchange. So this is very important, a very critical note, where multiple avenues of equity fundraising can be made available once you get listed on the stock exchange. The second important benefit which translates subsequent to listing is the visibility. MSME company, whenever I meet them, they have to have visibility in their, among the industry group, among the peer group, and among the public at large. Once you are listed on the stock exchange, the shares of your company are traded on more than 2 lakh trading terminals across more than 35,000 locations in more than 500 cities across India. The NSE website, which showcases you in front of investors, in terms of analysts, in terms of strategic alliance, will give you a very different visibility of the highest magnitude in terms of growth of your business. The third benefit that translates subsequent to listing is the credibility. Most of the MSME companies grow for credibility in terms of certifications, ISO certifications, and a lot of them. But the credibility in terms of corporate governance, in terms of financial governance, in terms of process-driven approach, can be well documented subsequent to listing on the stock exchange. The credibility gets a different magnitude altogether in terms of your vendors, in terms of your dealers, in terms of even your employees, in terms of your bankers. Once you get listed of the stock exchange, the investor or the stakeholder is assured of a lot of credible in terms of, as I told you, in terms of financial governance, corporate governance, process-driven approach, the larger picture, and it unfolds in front of investors. Okay, let us move on. In terms of manpower, many of the MSME companies tell us that, Ashish bhai, we have to have good manpower if we want to scale up our business. And there are a lot of challenges in terms of the amount of salary we can pay to the prospective employee, or a good resource that we want to recruit in our company. But once you become listed on stock exchange, we have seen that MSME have been able to attract a lot of good manpower, lot of senior resources, because they have a tool in their hand in the form of ESOPs. Okay, the remuneration can be compensated partially through cash payments and partially through ESOPs, because now your company is a listed company and shares of your company carry a value which means lot in terms of partnership, in terms of participation of your employee in the growth of the company. Uh, if we talk of growth, let me explain you a small analogy. There are two types of models of growth. One is an organic growth and the second one is an inorganic growth. Organic growth is in brief, if we want to explain it, it is in terms of taking up a new loan, putting up an additional line, putting up a new factory line, which may take 2 to 3 years to get live or to get operational. The inorganic growth is in terms of mergers, in terms of acquisition, in terms of takeovers. So this is very important incremental if MSME wants to grow at a faster pace. So in terms of merger, very recently, one of our company, MSME company, took over a company in US. Okay, I'm talking about an acquisition of a company in US through an equity swap. So the shares of your company, as explained earlier, becomes a currency, and you can go for an equity swap, and then you can acquire a company of a bigger magnitude or a bigger size. So this inorganic growth in terms of mergers, acquisitions, and takeover can translate you in terms of bigger businesses. The important point to understand here is in terms of valuations. So many of the MSME companies tell me, recently I met an MSME promoter from Rajkot, and when I talked about valuation, the promoter told me, हमारा equity 5 करोड़ है, हमारे reserve 7 करोड़ है, तो आशीष 5 और 7 मिलके हमारा 12 करोड़ का valuation हुआ. इसके अलावा हमने जो रियल एस्टेट में इन्वेस्ट किया था 10 करोड़ फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग में, उसका वैल्यू 10 करोड़ से ऊपर चला गया. तो ये 12 करोड़ प्लस 10 करोड़ मिला के हमारा वैल्यूएशन 22 करोड़ हुआ है. This is all mistaken. The valuation theory runs on a very different level. Who will value your 20 years experience? Who will value your client profile? Who will value your business presence? This entire ambit of valuation can translate into money terms only and only if you go for stock exchange listing. Normally, I give an example. Today also, I'm again repeating the example. Many of you might be knowing that Flipkart is making a loss of around 5,000 crores annually. Still, Walmart gave it a valuation of 1 lakh crore. If you look at the balance sheet, the valuation will not evolve. But if you look at the size of Flipkart, the scale of operations, definitely the model is very good. You need to get yourself listed if you want to unlock the valuation of your shares of your company. There are n number of things. I have dealt in brief on many of the benefits. But some point of time when AMA gives again us an opportunity, we will like to deal with the benefits on a very significant size. Again, in terms of number of companies, as I told you, we have 210 companies. We have raised 3,200 plus crores. The average size of the issue has been around 15.5 crores. The number of sectors we have completed is around 19 sectors we have already got listed. Number of companies who have migrated to the main board, Yogesh will explain to you in detail, is around 40. Let me tell you, we have out of 210 companies, we have 69 companies from Gujarat, which is ranked #1 in India. So there are a lot of examples, lot of benchmark that the Gujarat has created in terms of MSME listing. We can connect you to the local entrepreneur. You might be knowing a lot of them across Gujarat. We have companies listed from almost all top cities of Gujarat. We can make you connect and make you understand the benefits of listing. I would like to invite all MSME companies. We have a model in place which can transform your business from a smaller enterprise to a bigger corporation. The only three things that we are looking at from an MSME company to plan for listing is exponential business plan. You need to have exponential business plan. If you have scalable business opportunity along with the exponential plan and a sound financial statement, the three requisites which shareholders are looking at is exponential business plan, scalable business opportunity, and sound financial. We have a model which translates business from a smaller enterprise to a bigger corporation. So NSE welcomes all companies who are interested. Our contact details are with you. We will put it on a chat. Chetan, you put it on a chat. You can connect with us. We can give this opportunity. The second model that I promised to deal in a bit of a detail is the Receivable Exchange of India RXIL model. Essentially, in any transaction, we have two parties, the buyer and the seller. The buyer is essentially a bigger company, the seller is an MSME company, and if you want to get your bills discounted, you need to have a financer where traditionally the bankers play a role. So we have this RXIL model. It's an online digital discounting platform model, a very transparent model which offers very competitive rate of bills discounting on this platform. I should be telling you some hardcore facts. We have discounted more than 1,05,000 invoices. We have handled more than 42,000 crores of bill discounting. We have discounted bills from 1 lakh to 2.5 crores. The interest rates for bill discounting have been in the rate of 6.95 to 12.5. We have almost 1,200 companies on board. Here also Gujarat is ranked number 4 in terms of MSME companies on board. The bigger buyers, we have around 350 buyers. The total financiers are 35, where 21 are PSU banks, 7 are private bank, 5 are foreign bank, and 2 are factored NBFC. The model is very simple. If suppose there is an MSME company called S1, they supply the goods to a bigger corporate called say GNFC, and they invoice the goods, they send the goods, they invoice the good. Then what seller does is, the MSME company does is, they upload the invoice on the online platform called the RXIL platform. The moment the online platform, the invoice is uploaded by the seller MSME, the buyer accepts digitally on the online platform the invoice of the seller, stating that yes, I have received the goods, I accept this invoice. The moment invoice is accepted, an auction process is initiated immediately, where this invoice is available for auction to all the 35 financiers I have discussed, which includes PSU banks, foreign banks, factored NBFC, and a lot of financiers. These financiers participate in the auction. What happens is, if suppose the S1 company, the small company invoices to a GNFC accepts the invoice on the platform, the auction process starts. Now, multiple financiers will bid for discounting of this invoices. Say State Bank of bid at 8%. Then again, some other bank, foreign bank, bid it at 6.5%. In this way, the auction process will get initiated. The buyer and the seller together can accept the bid. If suppose the foreign bank has bidded for 6.5%, the 6.5% can be accepted by the seller or the buyer based on their prerequisite conditions. And the moment the invoice is accepted, RXIL platform generates an obligation, and the MSME companies who have supplied the goods, the S1, gets the money on T+1 day from the financiers through National Stock Exchange. Okay, the bills have been discounted at 6.5%, and the entire 1 crore rupee will come back after, say, discounting charges will come back to the MSME company. The second leg will happen at the end of 60th day, when the invoice will become due. On the invoice day, on the day invoice will become due, the financer gets the money, the GNFC will give it to the exchange, and exchange will give it to the financer, and that final leg will get completed. There are very critical, important things we need to be understand. There is a one-time registration which has to be done on this platform by the buyer, that is the bigger company. There is one-time KYC registration which is to be done by the MSME company on this platform. There is no requirement. Traditionally, if you go to the bank will ask for collateral security. Here, there is no requirement of collateral security to get your bill discounted. Normally, there is a limit sanction against your collateral security by individual banks for bill discounting. Here, there is no limit as far as the number of bills that you can get discounted on this platform. The other thing is that there is a fixed rate of interest that is charged on all bills discounted, irrespective of the profile of the buyer. The best part here is that the financier is looking at the rating of buyer, that is GNFC, and not of the MSME company. So if GNFC is enjoying a rating of AA plus, The rate available to AA plus company for bill discounting is around 6.5%. The bills will discounted. Again, I'm repeating for the purpose of clarity, the bills will get discounted on the best available rate, not on the rating of the seller, the MSME company, but on the rating of the buyer, because the financer will get the money at the end of 60 a day from the buyer. So let us talk about some good benefits which MSME company will get on account of bill discounting on RXL platform. These are beyond the credit limit of the bank. As I told you, no collateral is required, cost and paperwork reduction. There is no multiple mortgages to be implemented, documentation to be implemented. One-time KYC by an MSME company will facilitate it to discount it innumerable invoices. Competitive discounting, since there is an auction process in place, the entire bill discounting system is facilitated on a very larger side. No recourse. This is very important. Please understand this point very specifically. If suppose you get the bill discounted from the bank at the end of 60th day, if suppose GNFC is not able to make the payment to the bank, you don't receive the money from GNFC and it is asking for more time, or say it is not making the payment. There is no recourse on this platform. There is no recourse available for financer against the MSME company. He has the recourse. He has the legal right only against the buyer and not against the seller. This is very important. Had it been discounted with the bank, the entire recourse, the banker will debit the buyer's account, the MSME account, seller's account, MSME account, and recover the money. But here the financiers cannot recover any money from the seller. They have to go for recourse against the buyer only. This is very important, very critical, very important in terms of this platform, where a limited documentation, limited paperwork, best competitive rate of interest, and no recourse in case of buyer's default. This platform is quite incremental. We are getting a lot of traction from multiple MSME on this platform. Please do connect with us. We can facilitate this particular platform where multiple companies can get their bill discounted. We have an MOU with Government of Gujarat. They will be also facilitating your journey on this platform. And this platform has worked incrementally in these pandemic times for getting the bill discounted for the MSME companies. Okay. We have discussed 6 models. The first one is the listing model. The second one is the bill discounting model. The third one is the short-term deployment of funds. The fourth one is currency derivative platform where exporters and importers can hedge their currency obligation. The fifth one is interest rate derivative platform. The sixth one is electronic bidding platform where you can raise bonds, you can raise deposits on the stock exchange platform. I think we have limited time. We have Yogesh with us who will deal in detail on the MSME listing platform. I can promise you, I can assure you, please do connect with us. We have all these 6 platforms live and running. Any of the issues with respect to listing, with respect to export and import obligation, with respect to bill discounting, any of the models that we have discussed, we have dedicated office in Ahmedabad. We can connect you at any time, any place. We have a dedicated team for MSME entrepreneurs. Please do connect with us. Looking forward to serve all MSME companies of Gujarat on a very different scale through an exchange platform, which is incidentally India's largest stock exchange. With these words, I end my presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashish ji. As usual, very lucid, very comprehensive presentation. Yogesh ji, my voice is reachable to you?
Yes, sir. It is better than earlier. Yeah.
Okay. So only one question, Ashish ji. You gave the illustration of a buyer being of the size of GNFC. But what if the
I'm not able to hear him.
Smaller buyer?
Himal Parikh sir, I think Ashish sir is not able to hear you.
Sir, I would say that, like, he is asking that maybe the vendor like GNFC, we can understand the bill discounting. But what about the other sellers which may not be that big, right, Himal sir?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Basically, yeah, I can hear you, Himal ji. Basically, this platform is because the rating of the bigger company is very important in order to get the best competitive rate. So essentially, how it is being configured, we are approaching bigger companies and asking them for their vendor's profile. Okay. If suppose we approach GNFC, we ask them for their vendor profile. They give us a list of vendors which runs into 300 odd smaller companies. Then we approach these smaller companies and get them empaneled on this platform, so that the entire connectivity mechanism is quite good. Because if suppose an MSME get registered and if the buyer is not registered with us, then again MSME cannot get that bill discounted. So the model works both ways. We get leads from MSME companies, we get leads from buyers. And I can assure you, Hemalji, the rates that the MSME companies are getting are far better. No requirement of collateral, no requirement of higher rate of bill discounting. Even for smaller companies where buyers don't have a bigger rating, the things can translate in a very big way. I think, please, if you can help us with bigger companies, we can approach the bigger companies and ask them for a vendor profile. Then it will work in a very significant way.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish ji, for the answer as well as the nice presentation and talking about the 6 platforms for MSMEs. I would now welcome CA Yogesh ji, who had his career with NSE, but now is one of the leading merchant bankers, Pentamouth Advisory, who have done excellent work in helping MSMEs list their shares on the stock exchanges. Yogesh ji, your time starts now.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So, thanks, Ashish sir, for setting the context for today's webinar. To begin with, I would like to thank AMA for organizing this webinar. Thanks to NSE also to coordinate for the same, especially Ashish ji, under whose guidance I was able to work aggressively to help MSMEs through this platform, and especially Chetan Vyas, who is more than of a friend than ex-colleague, always available for helping merchant bankers like us and all the MSME companies of Gujarat. And thanks, Himal Bhai, like very learned and experienced market participants. We always try to learn something from you, sir. So I think a small portion which Ashish ji has covered regarding SME listing platform. So what I can share, maybe I'm sure that many things he has covered, and I think a lot of things, including advantages and all. So I would maybe like to highlight certain examples or certain advantages, how the companies have actually benefited from that. So to start with, maybe this pandemic time. So during this unprecedented times also, what we have seen, in fact, we have listed more than 100 companies. So we have been interacting with every company, is that listed companies are much better placed than comparatively than other unlisted companies. So that is one area, because definitely the financial challenge was one of the reason, one of the area which companies was having facing difficulties. But listed companies, since they have the equity capital, many companies have raised additional capital as well. So that helped them to raise additional capital over and above the banking facilities. So I think many companies, obviously, I would say that a lot of opportunities still there. So as we always say, that crisis creates opportunities. So we can see a lot of capital investment is coming to India. So many foreign players, in fact, we have been experiencing many foreign players who are looking to enter into Indian markets, and all, and many companies discussions are already going on for our clientele. So primarily reason what we see is maybe the capital from where it is coming. So the capital cost is, I think, comparatively very less there, and obviously the expected GDP rate is very high as compared to their countries in India. And after like Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana by our Prime Minister and maybe the Finance Minister, which they have announced, like vocal for local. So after that, many SME companies are going to be definitely well placed as compared to any other companies. In fact, recently we just completed one a deal of a Morbi-based ceramic company, wherein they have entered into strategic partnership with an Israel-based company. So I think similarly, many other discussions are already ongoing, especially after the lockdown happened, and maybe after the image of China deteriorating, India the next to that. So I think we have a lot of advantages in terms of placement of MSME companies. So I think we should all take it as an opportunity for us than any other issues, and maybe the challenges definitely are very limited. We have solutions to every problems. So coming to, I think, the platform which we are discussing today, as an excellent, well-proven model. well proven model wherein many companies are able to raise capital and maybe address the issues which normally they keep facing during their day-to-day businesses. So I think major challenges which Ashish also mentioned that I think many companies having challenges to the management team, then definitely funding is a limited for them. They have so many opportunities available with them, but they are not able to fulfill because of the limitations of funding. Product service commercialization definitely takes a lot of time for them because the capital availability is very limited. Scalability is always a challenge, and definitely the company financials are always maybe not in competition. And obviously the competition faced by them as compared to the multinational companies is I think always a challenge for them. So to overcome, I think these are the major challenges. Apart from that, also many other challenges which SME companies keep on facing. So after having a discussion, maybe internally with SEBI stock exchanges, they have come out with a new platform called MSME platform. So to overcome these challenges, what we realize that equity participation is must for any company. So whether it is on a public platform, private platform, that's completely fine. So ultimately, to help the companies, because if you see every larger company today or every industry leader, when they got listed on the stock exchange platform, they were also MSME companies. So if you talk about Reliance, they came out with an IPO in somewhere in 77, 78. The IPO size was not more than around 2.7 crores approximately. Even the Infosys in 94, they came out with a 12 crore IPO. So every company, when they started, they were also MSME companies. Similarly, now this kind of platform is available for today's MSME, that let the company come on this model, take all the advantages which are available to any larger companies like Reliance or Infosys, and grow to this level over the period. So that is the whole idea of creating this platform. So I think the norms and maybe the criteria which are given for MSME platform are very I would say simple and easy. So as compared to the main board, wherein minimum the capital of requirement is 10 crores, the profitability is required as at least 15 crores for last 3 years. For MSME company, very simple criteria. The company should have a 3 years of track record, and last 2 years they should have a operational profit. Capital of a company should not exceed 25 crore on a higher side. On a lower side, there is no limitation. So company with a capital of 50 lakhs or 1 crore can also be listed. And already there are so many companies with this criteria. The process period is also around not more than 3 to 4 months. SEBI approval is not required. Only NSE approval is required. So which is also they are been very helpful. So within a period of 15-20 days, we get approval from them. And a lot of compliance relaxations has been given. So considering that it is an MSME company, the guidelines have been framed in such a way that every small company, so the company with a turnover of 10 crores is also listed on this platform, and a company with a turnover of 700 crores is also listed on the platform. So even a small company as small as 10 crores can comply with the norms of MSME listing criteria. So I think I would directly come on the benefits part, which Ashish ji has covered, and maybe would like to correlate it with certain practical life examples. So I think the one advantage which he spoke about is capital without contractual obligation of repayment. So when we take a bank loan, definitely there is an obligation of interest repayment within a certain period, EMI payment, or maybe the repayment of the loan is definitely required in case of bank loans or any other kind of funding option. Vis-a-vis, when we take equity funding from IPO, so we are giving the shares to the public, we are getting the capital or funds in the company. The best part is there is no obligation for repayment of the capital, because share once given to public will remain with the public. And again, there is no obligation to for the repayment or maybe any specific returns giving to any investors. Just that we should focus on the business of the company, and once the company would start growing, definitely the pricing and the valuation of the company will grow. So investors would earn from that. So we talk about value unlocking of equity share. So value unlocking would maybe just try to, we must have, I think, heard this terminology at many places. So value unlocking means when when a promoter invests in the company, they get some equity share at a value of 10 rupees. But the real value of the company is very high. So as Ashish mentioned, that the actual value of the company is not only belongs to the net worth or the maybe property of the company, but yes, it is also attached to the credibility of the company, the track record, the clientele, the performance of the company, the competitive advantage. So many other things are there which would ultimately add up to the value unlocking of the equity share. So the 10 rupee share can actually be of the actual value of, let's say, 60 rupees also. It can be of 100 rupees value also. So once the company is listed on the stock exchange, definitely the price discovery would happen and the real value would get unlocked. Debt equity is improved because when a company is only belonging on the debt, so debt equity is very high. But once the company raises funds from the capital market, equity portion also increases. Liquidity is enhanced. So I think one example I would like to quote here, Manorama Industries, so which we listed almost 2 years back. So before the IPO, the company net worth was around 88 crores. The revenue was 200 crores approximately, and profit was 10 crores. So that time we came at as the IPO of around 188 rupees, the share price. Debt equity was 0.72. So you can see a vis-a-vis comparative, advantage of a company. The profitability has shooten up because I think the business they belong to is again the supply of exotic and especially fats and oils and maybe the mango pulp basically they use, and that is being supplied to all the chocolate industries including Ferrero and all. So I think the company details you can understand it later. But what the point I'm trying to say that today the market cap of a company is around 900 crores and debt equity has reduced substantially to 0.23. Then we talk about augments credibility. So obviously before the listing, very few people know the company. Once the company gets listed on the exchange platform, every information is available on the stock exchange website and so many websites giving a coverage to the news updates of the company. So any update a company is giving, say it your board meeting, so maybe for example, you have a financial results announcement. So any update regarding the company, you can give it on the stock exchange website. So it will be flashed on more than 3 lakh trading terminals, as well as, so I think few people are asking questions. So maybe questions we would take at the end. So I think first we will go through the whole presentation and then maybe we'll take question answer, Himal bhai. Thank you. So it adds a lot of credibility to the company. Once the company gets listed on this platform, so many people start noticing the company, and definitely it's add to the lot of value addition and the business increment of the company. So increasing worth of the company. So when unlisted company, when we value the company, we would value the company based on the book value. But once the company is listed, everybody would see the market capitalization of the company. M&A strategies. So Ashish ji has mentioned that merger acquisitions is possible just by swap of shares. So let's say I want to buy a company, a listed company, want to buy a company worth 50 crores. So instead of paying them cash, I can give them my shares of my company worth 50 crores. So many examples. So we'll discuss those examples as well. So one example is Chemcrux Industries. So the company pre-issue capital was 15 crores. Now the current market cap, almost 5 years has been completed. The current market cap is 120 crores. The share price has moved from 18 rupees to 242 rupees over the period, because obviously they are into chemical business and specific chemical, wherein after China's downfall in chemical market, they got advantage in India. So the profitability was shoot up by from 1.5 crores to 10.5 crores in this current year. So I think this kind of growth when public or maybe general market would observe, so definitely a lot of buying would happen, and accordingly ultimately the value of company would keep on increasing. So we call it a market value. So market value is always much, it can be much higher than your book value. So book value may not be the right way to value a company, but obviously once the company is listed, we start getting the market value of a company. We get branding opportunity, as we said that once a company is listed, so every news and every update is there on the market public platform. So that branding is there. So we have so many companies wherein nobody was knowing those companies before listing, but after listing, people have started correlating the companies. So like I would like to quote one example of Libas. So Libas is a women apparel brand, which I'm sure that before listing, like the 4-5 years, the company is listed on the NSE platform. So before the company was listed, nobody was knowing them. But now since the company is a listed company on the main board, everybody knows this brand. I'm sure that all the women participants would acknowledge this fact. Employee stock option scheme, definitely it has been a very strong and powerful tool to retain the key employees of a companies. So the companies like Infosys, they have started these ESOP schemes. So they have, when the company got started, they started giving the shares to employees, so that employee also feels the part of the company. And obviously after that, so many companies have followed. I think one of the example which Ashish ji has quoted, that MSME companies are not able to pay the good employees on a larger side as far as maybe cash consideration is concerned. So what they do is they couple it with maybe the some portion of salary with along with some ESOPs. So since they are a shareholder of a company, they would also work as a owner of a company. So I think we have seen the performance of the companies and the performance of employees have increased much better as compared after giving ESOPs than the previous years. Investors exit strategies. So we see a lot of companies having the partners, or maybe a lot of companies having some private equity investments wherein they want to give exit to the investors. So this is the platform wherein investors get a very good valuations also, and they can have an exit route through this platform. So many companies we have listed which actually have taken an investor exit. So we'll have some examples on that as well. So like Infosys, as we know that ESOPs they have started, then Air India has given employees some ESOP shares, Ola has given ESOPs. So many companies you will find who gives ESOPs to the companies. So visibility, I think there are so many different platforms for the visibility. So in the media coverage, so many webinars and seminars which stock exchange helps us. So many listed companies have got the awards from the stock exchanges. So similarly, I think many media channels or maybe media threads would start covering you the news which is there. So a lot of advantages there. So you can see some examples in private equity exists through stock through SME exchanges. So these companies had some investors who actually took a private equity, who actually took an exit through this SME route. So talking about funding options, definitely the primary reason why a company comes to this platform, which we have experienced till now, is one is definitely when a company comes out with an IPO, they get some funding. So for example, if a company is coming out with a 5 crore IPO, they will be giving minimum 25% shares to a public. So they will get the 5 crores funding for their company. So they will have to specify that what is the purpose of those 5 crores. And once the company gets listed, after that, there are multiple avenues. Like they can come out with an FPO, follow-on public offering. They can come out with preferential right issue. So many avenues are available to listed companies to raise the subsequent fundraising in the company as well. Shares as good as currency. So I think talking about the shares in a company, I'm sure all the company owners who are listening now at this moment would agree to me that when a company is unlisted company, your share certificate are just a paper, and maybe you have a book value for accounting purpose, but practically those shares nobody is going to accept as a collateral. Nobody is going to pay you for the shares except for some private equity investors. So what we are doing, once the company is getting listed, the company becomes marketable. Your shares becomes a currency. So you can use your shares as good as a currency. So for example, you can give your shares to bank as a collateral. You can give your shares to your employees as a ESOPs. You can pledge your shares and raise some funds from financial institution. So you want to buy a company, or maybe you want to acquire a company, you can give your shares instead of the hard cash. So I think so many where let's say you as a promoter themselves need money immediately, for example, for some immediate needs. So they can sell their shares in the market, and within T+2 days, they get the funds in the bank account in 2 days. So many avenues opens up, so that gives you much more liquidity than any other unlisted companies. So shares works as good as any currency instrument. Saving on capital gain, definitely any transaction in the equity attracts a lesser capital gains as compared to the unlisted companies. So these are the few examples I just tried to put in, wherein so many companies have promoters have pledged their shares to any financial institutions and have raised funds for them for maybe their personal or maybe any reason they have raised the funds. So you can see Adani Ports, Asian Paints. So promoter of every company, most of the companies have pledged some or the other holding in to the financial institutions and have raised the funds. Inorganic growth opportunities, when we talk consolidation, so maybe bigger companies when they invest in the listed companies, exit opportunity, we discussed that many companies or promoters also look and exit through this listed platform. So recently Zomato has acquired Uber. That's again a private transaction, but they have just completely done through swap of the shares. Merger acquisitions, I think so many companies, and we can see like wherein they have acquired the companies on the listed space as well, wherein just swap of shares have happened and they have acquired a company. So I think few examples we have quoted, like Sun Pharma has taken Ranbaxy just by swap of shares in this ratio of 8:10. TCS has acquired CMC, Kotak has acquired ING Vesha Bank. So all these deals are completely stock deals, so that the investors of the target companies have received the shares of the acquirer company. So all this share swap deal have happened and they've acquired the whole company. So this is not possible in unlisted segment. So in unlisted segment, if you want to buy a company, definitely we have to pay them the cash. So I think migration to the main board, this is one of the excellent feature of SME listing platform. So today we just saw in the, I think, initial slides that listing on main board is very difficult for a small company. The criteria is very stringent. Consider even the profitability we need is 15 crores, 10 crores paid up capital required, SEBI approval, NSE BSE approval is required. So the process itself take around not less than 8 to 10 months. Also, the cost and expenditure, the compliances involved are very high. So that may not be feasible for MSME companies. But once the companies are listed on SME platform of NSE, after 2 years, there's a provision that once the company completes 2 years on the SME board and the capital crosses 10 crores, the company is very well eligible to come on the main board. I think within the span of 15 days, the company can get migrated once we have to apply on the stock exchanges with some information memorandum and few documents. The company is migrated to the main board. So I think almost more than 40 companies have already migrated on NSE, and so many companies are already in pipeline to get on the main board. So I think quickly I will try to cover major apprehensions, which normally being a merchant banker, we talk to many company promoters that you should list your company to get these advantages. But many companies have so many apprehensions. So maybe I'll just try to cover them quickly. That many companies thinks that the compliance level would increase. They think that ongoing cost will be very high. Business confidentiality will be lost if you are listed company, because like market may everything will be available. They think that somebody would take over my company. Somebody would think that market would intervene in my day-to-day operations. NSE or SEBI would keep on intervening in my day-to-day operations. The cost of, or maybe the pricing, what should be the pricing of my shares? I think my value is 100 crores, but what kind of price I would get on the SME stock exchanges? So ultimately they think that a lot of pressure is there. So let us better not go for listing. So that more than 20 lakh companies listed maybe on ROC database, but only 500 companies have got listed. So we can still see much more potential that many MSME companies can still use the platform. So as a merchant banker, I can assure you that none of these happens. So talking about compliance are very, I would say very easy. The companies with a turnover of 5 crores is also doing compliances, and the compliances by SEBI has been reduced almost to the 25% as compared to the main board company. Confidentiality is not lost at all. Only the public information need to be given. Otherwise, the companies would not have become the market leaders who have listed 20 years back. Market intervention is not there at all. Regulatory intervention is also not there unless and until you don't do a compliance. Then only we get a call from NSE. Otherwise, we don't even get a call. The companies which we have listed 5 years back also, till today, they have not got a single call from exchanges. Also, not a single rupee penalty exchange has put in on any SME listed company. Takeover is not possible because we are diluting only 25%, and cost is definitely a very fraction of the cost which is available for the main board company. So maybe one-to-one, because of the maybe limited time, we may not discuss all these things in details. But yes, if anyone you have any questions on one-on-one, we can take after the session, or maybe we also have an office on SG Highway. So we will share the address also with you. We can discuss one-on-one. So I think many credible and reputed investors have started investing in the SME companies. So I think so many companies on the left side, we have mentioned the name of the companies who got listed on SME platform. And on the right hand side, we have mentioned the names of the credible investors like Vijay Kedia, Kenneth Andrade, HSBC, DSP, Yes Bank, Mukul Agarwal, Sundaram Mutual Fund. So I think many investors have started investing in the good companies of MSMEs, because they know that today if they invest in the good companies, it will be a win-win for MSME companies as well as for the investors. So I think one last thing which I would like to cover is, as a MSME company, what all should I do to start preparing myself for getting on the SME platform? So 3-4 areas definitely I would like to highlight here. cost reduction. So definitely whatever resources we have to use it efficiently so that our balance sheet shows the better profitability. So valuation methodology in stock exchanges is definitely linked with the profitability. So as high as profit, as good the valuation will be. Better inventory management, definitely the inventory ratio has to be in line with the industry which you are in. Process improvement, so a lot of processes which a company is having has to be very competitive so that it ultimately results in efficient use of resources. Innovation, definitely R&D is again very important. Innovation, I would say USP of a company. So let's say if we talk about logistics segment, so if there are, let's say, 20 companies listed, so what kind of USP we can bring which maybe other companies in the market are not having. So investors would like to invest more on these kind of companies which having these kind of features in them. So what investors look for, definitely growth plan of a company, cash flow of a company. So I think profitability, many companies show the profitability, but cash flow is also very important aspect. So many companies we have seen showing the good profits, but all the funds are stuck in debtors or maybe in inventory still lined up. So we have to see the cash flow, vision of the promoters, competitive landscape, what kind of competitive advantage we have, what kind of industry we belong to, what is the size of industry. Definitely good government, good governance is definitely a non-negotiable for them. Leadership team is very important. So maybe many times we have seen only one person is running the whole company. So we have to create that leadership at the second level, third level also. Company USP, as we said, that what kind of USP a company is bringing on table as compared to other players in market. So these are areas I think we should start working on, and for detailed discussion we can discuss one-on-one. So this process is there. I think I would just briefly, I would say you have to appoint a merchant banker, which is a SEBI requirement. So we are a SEBI registered category 1 merchant banker. So we discuss with the company about the cost, about the valuation, and about the process. So we prepare and prospectus, file it with the stock exchanges and other regulatory bodies. We do the marketing, and ultimately we launch the IPOs, which will be typically open from 3 to 10 days. We do a lot of marketing after that, and maybe then once the IPO is closed, within the 6 days company is listed. So the whole process takes typically from 3 to 4 months for SME companies because SEBI approval is not there. So recently I would like to add here how government is supporting SME listings for the smaller companies. So first, talking about Gujarat government, recently they have announced the MSME policy. They have given a subsidy of assistance, I would say, of 5 lakh rupees up to 25% of the expenditure. So that 5 lakh rupees subsidy is available for the companies who are getting Gujarat based companies who are listing on the SME platform of stock exchanges. So all the many companies who are listed from Gujarat have already taken this advantage, and many companies in the pipeline, maybe next till that policy is valid, they will keep on getting the advantage. They have also mentioned that Gujarat Venture Finance Limited also may take equity stake in these companies who are getting listed on the stock exchanges platform. We have some previous cases wherein they have government venture finances also have invested in some of the companies. So in Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think announcements during lockdown, I think they have also announced creating a larger fund of 50,000 crores across India, which would invest in the companies, MSME companies through private and again the public route. So that definitely the guidelines are, detailed guidelines are yet to come. So this is also going to boost MSME sector through equity route. So till today, whatever schemes or maybe I would say assistance have come from the government is mostly on a debt side in form of a capital subsidy, interest subsidy, or any kind of advantages. But this is the first time government has come out with the equity participation for MSME companies. So I think every company should take advantage of this government initiatives and come on the platform. For details, definitely we can discuss on one-to-one. So talking about Pantomath, we have been consistently awarded by stock exchanges, NSE being a topmost merchant banker. So we are the top 10 merchant bankers in India, has been acknowledged by Thomson Reuters. So we got recently the award from NSE being the top merchant bankers. So these are contact details. Maybe you can write down the contact details of my email ID as well as my phone number. So we can discuss any questions or queries we have. Even after the webinar, we are always there. Along with stock exchanges, definitely has been very helpful. So thanks for the time. That's it from my side. We are open to take questions, Himal bhai.
Thank you, Yogesh ji, for a very lucid presentation. You have covered very well the advantages of listing on the.
Himal sir, your voice, please.
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
now? Thank you, Yogesh ji, for the very interesting presentation where you said you have gone through the entire steps of listing on the benefits to promoters. I have only one question to you, and which you and NSE should try and lobby to SEBI,
please,
is
sir.
to allow smaller investors to put in money. Now that 1 lakh rupee application size reduces the post listing liquidity in the secondary market. This SEBI can do for issues where there is an anchor investor. So there are NSE issues where you have got some anchor investors. Please permit those issues for smaller subscribers up to 15,000 rupees, which is the retail norm for the bigger issues, to participate. This will increase the visibility amongst investors of lot of companies.
Sure, sir. I think we have been talking to the regulators as well as we have represented to SEBI as well as stock exchanges multiple times. So I think one feedback, definitely the purpose of this 1 lakh rupee size is that because these are a very small companies and very few people know about the company. So being a small company, they also carry a lot of risk for the investors. So they wanted only informed investors to invest in these kind of companies because they comparatively they are more vulnerable as compared to the larger companies. So that was a feedback we have received from the regulators. But definitely from your feedback also we would represent them once again. And again, NSE has been very helpful to us to represent these things to the SEBI. So maybe Ashish ji can add in this, but yes, we have been representing to the regulators on this side. In fact, we have also requested to reduce the lot size also. So again, the maybe feedback is awaited from them. Yeah.
How many companies after listing their prices have gone down for the investors to lose money?
So again, sir, talking about pricing part, so maybe what I would say in a longer run, any investors investing in MSME company should definitely be prepared for a long-term investment in the companies. So when we analyze the company, we feel that a company is good to invest for a longer duration because what happens today, the company is same SME company. They would raise a smaller fund from the market, invest in the company, will go for some expansion plans, and once the expansion outcomes start reflecting in the balance sheet, would take at least a period of 3 to 5 years. So investors should look at the long-term investment and the returns as compared to a short-term price movement. So I would not say that price is not important, but yes, definitely focusing on the long term and then investing in the company would be recommended to all the investors. Talking about the numbers, sir, how many company prices are down and up. So definitely in stock markets, it all depend on the demand and supply. But yes, majority of the companies we have seen in the longer run, they have created value for the investors.
So that's why the younger, smaller investors should get an opportunity to participate.
Sure, sir. I agree with you. Again, sir, that again, I would say risk versus reward. So risk is also higher. So reward is also higher. So as we see, so many credible investors have also started participating. Definitely, it's a boost for the small investors as well.
There was a question on the demarcation of startup as well as SME. I think startup is one which has less than 3 years of track record or just started business. SME guidelines require a 3-year track record to get listed. You could add something more to it.
So, talking about startup, definitely for the traditional companies, we have a SME platform or mainboard platform where we look at the profitability criteria for entering into the listed platform. But recently, NSE has come out with a startup platform, which definitely does not look at the profitability aspect, but yes, at the same time, they would look at some vetting of the business model by some expert in the market. So they need some investors or maybe some private investors or some QIB investment already there in the company, so that since the investors will be investing in the company, there's some proof of concept has to be there and vetted by some of the investors. So they need the some of the renowned investors, some I would say private equity player or some QIB investors to already be there in the company. Then that company becomes eligible to take the funds from general public, because the diligence part the general public may not be able to do, and that is why I think there's a one reason that they need some external investor to be there in the company. But at the same time, the guidelines has been maybe the requirement and eligibility criteria has been I would say made very lenient for them. They would not look at the profitability part. they would just see the maybe the company technology side. They have described certain definition wherein some industries like technology or maybe some kind of e-commerce platform. So they have defined some robotics kind of company. They have some eligibility criteria for the company. So that is specifically for those set of companies which fall in that certain categories. So the criteria is lenient, but at the same time, we have to see the investment in the company which has to be already there, and they should be falling in those category of the companies.
Somebody's made a very serious allegation against the SME companies getting listed. The question is, many of the SME companies get listed are illiquid stocks, and
Okay.
most of them try to use their cash to convert into white and subscribe their own IPOs with their own cash. Your take on that?
So again, sir, I would maybe not comment on the companies what they have done, but maybe as a long-term investors. So let's say when we talk about the wealth creation through equity in the market, so let us take an example of the companies which have already given the success stories. So we talked about Reliance, we talked about Infosys, or any companies which have listed 20 years back. So that point in time, definitely when we talk about Infosys IPO, so that time the IPO was not subscribed. The merchant banker has to go through their underwriting obligation and has to buy the shares. So that time public were not maybe showing the confidence in the company. The IPO was not subscribed. IPO maybe has to be taken up by the merchant bankers. But after a few years, 4 or 5 years down the line, people have started realizing the potential of the company, and then definitely that was a history. So today the value of the company is more than 4 lakh crores. So ultimately, the conclusion which I'm trying to draw here is, as a investors, we should look at the company fundamentals, and maybe sir, that is one of the reason that why the lot size has been kept. So once if I have to invest 1 lakh rupees in a company, definitely I would study the company, I would study the promoter, their growth perspective in the market. So if you are investing it for the long term, after analyzing the company, understanding the company, then definitely that obviously exchange has been doing a lot of investor awareness program. So there are maybe 6,000 companies listed on the stock exchanges, but not every company is giving returns to the company. So as a investors, we have to be very informed in a way that what company we are investing in. Ultimately, maybe there are so many companies which may maybe not do in a ethical way. So again, not no comments on that. But yes, the kind of companies which we are choosing to invest definitely has to be an informed decision by every investors.
Thank you, Yogesh ji. Thank you, Ashish ji. Chetan ji, your final take on today's program, and welcome and thank you on behalf of AMA. Yogesh, Chetan ji, you can sum up and give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Hemalji for very good and very finely handled this panelist, Mr. Yogesh Jain as well as Mr. Goelji. Thank you for your kind words and handling this whole session very well. And I will definitely ask our participants who wish to know much more in detail. Please do connect with us. I had mentioned my contact details, and you can also contact Yogesh ji. His numbers and everything will be posted through chat box, as well as AMA has the details. So thank you all for joining this particular seminar, and I will also congratulate to our AMA to give us a wonderful opportunity to handle this particular session. Thank you. Thank you, Hemalji. Thank you.
So thank you, Ashish ji, Yogesh ji, Chetan ji, all the people, participants who, in spite of the lure of Dream 11 IPL, which is starting shortly in the next few minutes, have chosen to be part of this presentation today, and AMA for giving the opportunity to everybody by coordinating this program. Thank you very much, all of you. Good evening and enjoy your cricket now. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, pleasure participating in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You can share your presentation if you wish to.
Sure, sir. We will
It
share.
to a lot of people.
Done, we'll share. Definitely, sir.
A
Yeah.
lot of SMEs with whom we are in touch.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. We'll share.
Ashish ji ka dono ka presentation. Yeah.
Sure,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Himal Parikh, Chetan sir, Yogesh sir, and Ashish sir for sparing time and addressing the AMA members on this interesting topic. I thank all the participants, and any questions you can route it to AMA or NSE. They will directly send you the PPT as sir has mentioned. A PPT can be sent to AMA or NSE, which can be shared to the participants. Thank you all. With your permission, I end the meeting here.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.